Hi everyone, we're here at John Sadler's Auto Repair. And the last week or so I've been working on a 2002 330 Ci BMW, and it has a lot of oil leaks. And so some of the things that we found out is the oil filter housing where it bolts to the engine was leaking oil. The valve cover gasket was leaking oil, and we couldn't get the cover to come off. This engine has 198,000 miles on it. It still looks pretty good inside the motor as far as the cam lobes and things. It's got some wear on it, of course. But the problem I have now is the spark plugs are stuck in. The spark plugs are hard to come out. So I don't know if we can see actually in the tube or not. See if you can see right inside the tube. We put some spray inside the tube, some ZEP 45 spray, and we're going to let it soak overnight. And what that'll do is that'll run down past the threads of the spark plug, and so that I'll show you what a spark plug looks like. So it's in the cylinder head. So what we've done is we've taken this top part and covered it with ZEP 45. I got them all to turn about a quarter of a turn, and that ZEP 45 overnight will go down and loosen these threads because it's been in there so long. One of the problems I had today is I spent all day trying to get the valve cover to come up because it was on so tight. And I'll show you the new gasket. You can see the rubber, it's very pliable. It moves very freely, and that's how it's supposed to be. Now if you come back to the bench back here in the back, when you're taking these things apart like this in a high mileage vehicle, you don't want to do any damage to anything. When the valve cover fits on the engine like this, the only corner you can get is this outside little corner sticks on the outside of the cylinder head. So you can take a small bar and put just a little bit of tension on that edge. And then you just have to hold a small amount of tension, maybe 10-15 minutes. You might hear a little movement, you might not hear anything. Then you got to leave it alone for a while and then come back to it again. Finally, after doing that for half the day, I finally got it to start to come up in sections. And so when it came up, it was stuck to parts of the engine and parts of the cover, and then you see the other one's real pliable. You see how that just breaks apart? And then it broke apart where the spark plug tube seals go. And you have to be very careful to try and get all these little pieces out. Any little pieces that break off, you don't want any those pieces inside the motor. So one thing you want to be careful of with high mileage vehicles, you don't know who's done service before, you don't know what's happened with the vehicle. I can tell you for a fact that that valve cover's never been off before. So I could have pried on it and broke it, and then, you know, what could have we done then? So what I did is I did other work. I did the oil filter housing seal, and you can see this is the same way. It came off in sections. This is like an O-ring material. It should be flat on both sides. I mean round on both sides, excuse me. And you can see where it's all flattened out. Well, oil's just running out of there. Between the valve cover and this housing and this Vanos hose was leaking at the junction here, where it's crimped onto the rubber part of the hose. Then you always want to install new seal rings on both sides of the Vanos hose when you do the job too. So just a little tip from John Sadler's Auto Repair. When you got a high mileage vehicle, it's giving you a problem, I call my customer and I just beg for more time. I offer to put them in rental cars because they don't really understand the difficulty, what you have to go through to not break anything. Anybody can take something apart and break anything. You have to be a real professional to take things apart, repair things, put it back together again, and use the same housings and just put new gaskets on. So just a little tip from John Sadler's, always lean on the caution side, be careful, take your time, beg the customer for more time, which I had to do several times. It's just a lot of work, and everything I had to do to the car from lack of being serviced is taking a long time. So thank you very much, have a nice day.